Hello, welcome to I think my first video in quite a while. I've been busy. I graduated college. And I figured I'd do kind of a simple video, at least simple to start. There'll be some editing and stuff because I'll be putting on gameplay footage of the games I'm talking about. And what are we doing in this video? We are ranking. Let's see, do I actually yep, capture cursor. Okay, that's good, correct. We are ranking the Armored Core games. All of them. Aside from the Japanese exclusive mobile phone games. They don't count. And this is just something I decided to do as kind of a discussion video, you know. People's favorites are always different, and I figured I'd do a ranking video of what are my favorite Armored Core games. So let's just get right to it. We're going to start with Armored Core 1. Armored Core 1 is, well, the start of the series. It's honestly a pretty solid game still. The graphics have aged, of course. The frame rates can get pretty choppy at times, but overall the gameplay is still your classic Armored Core. Boosting around, locking on, shooting weapons, building your perfect AC. And a lot of the themes and stylistic choices that were set in Armored Core 1 would be perpetuated and continued throughout the series, such as hidden parts, some form of human augmentation like Human Plus, your build diversity with your legs determining different features of your AC's mobility and firepower. The story is actually still reasonable, in my opinion. The story is mostly told to you through the in-game briefings of the missions, as well as the very occasional in-game cutscene, and the email system, which is actually still really good. It's one of the things I'm actually kind of sad we didn't get in Armored Core 6, is the ability to just get all your reread all your messages without having to play through the game again. But overall, I'm going to put it a solid A. It has aged, obviously. It's oh, and before anyone comments, yes, I know the controls are dated. However, the controls aren't that bad. The game plays fine around those controls, with the exception of the final mission, but that's fine. I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. It's still a good, solid contender. A rank. Shows its age. It does have a couple of random difficulty spikes, but overall it's a fun little romp. You can beat the game in about 4 hours, 8, or a few more hours if you decide to get all the hidden parts and complete all the missions and so on and so forth. Next, Armored Core Project Phantasma. This game is not as good. It introduces some good stuff. It introduces the arena, and specifically the arena that you play, and you unlock new parts, and it's okay. It's definitely very much an expansion pack game rather than something you can play standalone. Its story is not fantastic. It's a bit on the weaker end. The whole Doomsday organization with the main antagonist, who I'm struggling to come up with a name right now. God, what is his name? Fuck, what is his name? I'm drawing a blank right now, so hard. Anyway, Stinger, that's it. Stinger is not that compelling of an antagonist. He's just a evil guy that wants to become all-powerful through the Doomsday organization. Yeah, it's not that great of a story. Suika is a cool character, though, and she gets her own unique AC, which is kind of neat. Again, the arena is cool even if it does get a little boring at times. So, but it's an okay game. So I'm going to put it at C. If you notice, there's no F ranking. None of the Armored Core games, in my opinion, even the ones I don't like, are F rank. They're just I may not like it that much, but they're still okay. Phantasma, we'll give it a rank of C. It's alright. Next, Armored Core Master of Arena. The penultimate, or not penultimate, the final entry in the Generation 1 games, and the best combination of elements for Armored Core 1 and Project Phantasma. It has a story that mixes together both the arena gameplay and the single-player missions. It's genuinely one of the best-paced games in the entire series. It also gets a second disc with more arena missions and more parts, of course. The story is kind of slightly a retread, if a little different, from Armored Core 1. Armored Core 1's story is kind of basic: corporations fighting for war, fighting each other for power after the Great Destruction. Armored Core Master of Arena is more about Nineball and his control over the arena and the corporations, all that, to rebuild humanity by having constant conflict. And you, the player protagonist, become a wrench in that machine because you are too powerful. And it's a decent little story. I am going to put it at S rank because it is the culmination of the Generation 1 games. Yeah, it's still a little dated visually, but it's also just a really well-paced game, and I highly recommend playing through it, preferably after playing through Armored Core 1, because you can import your Armored Core 1 save file into Master of Arena. I mean, you can also, actually, obviously, the best way to play them is Armored Core 1, Project Phantasma, Master of Arena, so that way you can keep all the parts from the previous games that you unlock, especially weapons that you can only unlock in Project Phantasma, like the finger. I'll let you figure that one out if you ever decide to play the games. Next, Armored Core 2. This was a launch title for the PlayStation 2, of all things. Really good game. Still shows on stage a little bit. A lot of mechanics were... what's the word I'm looking for here? Improved upon. Overboost was added as a mechanic, so you can go really fast in a straight line, typically. Shoulder extensions were added, which is a good choice. The story continues off from Armored Core 1 / Master of Arena, depending on who you ask. And it's a really good game. It also lets, kind of like Project Phantasma, it also lets you complete the arena in one great big sitting. And is generally just a really solid game. Not really that many flaws. The controls are still a bit dated because they don't implement analog control until Nexus, and we'll get there eventually. But yeah, Armored Core 2, also S rank. It is a really solid, just a genuinely really good game in general, and it's a really good Armored Core game. Next, Armored Core 2, Another Age. If there ever was a game that is the epitome of expansion pack, it would be Armored Core 2, Another Age. Now, it's not a bad game, but it is absolutely a game that you should play after playing Armored Core 2 and transferring your save to it. Playing it with the default starting AC, and it's not a good time. However, with the caveat that as long as you play it as an expansion, it is still pretty good, and it has 100 missions. That's a lot of missions, so it's lots of fun. Well, depending on who you ask. Still pretty solid. Also has extra bonus fights at the end when you 100% the game, which is really fun. But with caveat again, expansion pack. Play it after you play Armored Core 2. Next, Armored Core 3. Armored Core 3 is the best game for newbies to play. It has the most... God, I'm walking all over my words today. It has the most efficient use of mechanics, I think, in my opinion. Aside from maybe For Answer, but we'll get there. The story is generally pretty good. You play as a raven living under the in the underground with the corporations Crest, Mirage, and Kurosagi, who are all at the behest of the Controller, the AI system that runs the underground society since humanity fucked up the surface. Really good game. Not really any particular issues. It's just a really solid game. However, it doesn't quite have the same punch as Armored Core 2. It's a refinement of Armored Core 2, but I struggle to say it's 100% better than Armored Core 2, at least in terms of story. I think Armored Core 2's story is better than Armored Core 3's, but still very solid. And right, Armored Core Silent Line is honestly probably just more of the same for Armored Core 3, with the caveat that Armored Core Silent Line is hard as balls. Armored Core Silent Line expects you to know what you're doing when you start playing the game. It does not hold your hand, and it will absolutely wreck you. Like, the Armored Core 3's difficulty was kind of middling of the road in terms of as far as Armored Core games go, but Armored Core Silent Line is so hard in comparison, especially if you're trying to get all the parts and S-rank the game. Outside of that, it's a really solid game with a decent story. Again, the story doesn't have the same kind of punch as Armored Core 2's story. One thing I should mention about both Armored Core 3 and Silent Line is these are the first games where you can dual-wield weapons. It's a bit limited in Armored Core 3, but Silent Line added rifles, left-hand machine guns, bazookas, grenade launchers, and so on to your left arm that greatly expands your offensive options. However, unless you're using modified control scheme with an emulator, it can be difficult to use left-hand weapons consistently, just because of the button inputs. But overall, very solid game. Has actually some of the best boss fights of the game. Armored Core 3 also has a couple of really good boss fights. Now, the controversial one, Armored Core Nexus. I used to hate Armored Core Nexus. I used to think Armored Core Nexus was the worst Armored Core game in existence, at least until Armored Core 5, but we'll get there. However, it has grown on me, and I'm going to put it at B. Yeah. The game, once you come to grips with the overheating mechanics, is actually not that hard, because most of the enemies are relatively slow, and you have twin-stick controls now to compensate for the absolute just inferno that is the heating system in this game. However, overall, solid gameplay. One thing is the game looks ass because of the filters. This is a problem that the next three games will have as well. They applied some of the worst filters known to man on these games. They look awful with them. But if you can get past that, Armored Core Nexus is still a solid game, and the second disc actually has some remake missions from Generation 1 and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. You get to see some missions from the alternate side and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Overall, good game, just with issues that I don't personally like. I think the overheating system was way too overdone, and the complete... Oh, I should have mentioned this earlier. Armored Core 1 introduced Human Plus. You could get it in Armored Core 1, transfer it to Project Phantasma and Master Marine. Armored Core 2 also had Human Plus, which you could transfer to Armored Core 2 Another Age. Armored Core 3 and Silent Line both had Op Intensify, which were basically would take the place of your optional parts systems to give you Human Plus abilities at the cost of no optional parts aside from Op Intensify. Overall, really solid thing. Armored Core 3 did it the best way, where it's a in-game thing you get after beating the game. And in Silent Line, you could either transfer it in from Armored Core 3, or if you didn't get it in Armored Core 3, you could get it in Silent Line after 100%ing the game. Which is as hard as it sounds, because Armored Core Silent Line is actually pretty fucking hard. Armored Core Nexus. They removed Human Plus and Op Intensify entirely. Completely gone. As a bonus, everyone can do the Blade Wave, but Blade Wave is now kind of useless, so... yeah, but that's just my gripes. I dislike the removal of Op Intensify and Human Plus as an option. Anyway, next. Armored Core Ninebreaker. Ninebreaker is a weird game. It's mostly just an arena and a bunch of training exercises. That's it. And it's not very interesting. So, D. You can safely skip Ninebreaker basically at any point. There's no point in playing Ninebreaker unless you're really into Gen 3 multiplayer online using the emulator. And there are people in the Armored Core Discord who really like Ninebreaker for Armored Core Gen 3.5 multiplayer. But for me, it's a D. There's no reason for me to play Ninebreaker aside from whatever footage you're seeing now. The game's not awful, but it's very much a game that didn't really need to exist. It did have a really cool boss fight against Nineball, though, who gets a triple burst fire linear rifle for some ungodly reason, but anyway. Next, Formula Front. Formula Front is weird. Even weirder than Ninebreaker. Instead of you piloting your AC yourself, you play as an architect who designs the AI chips to pilot the ACs of your design. There's no money involved. You have access to every part from the start. Build your team. Try to win the tournament. It's kind of like a robot. It's basically a robot fighting arena as the story, where your ACs are being sponsored by corporations and stuff. But, you know, giant robots. Not a bad game, but also not, like, super relevant? I'm gonna put it in C. It has no bearing on any of the rest of the series, and aside from maybe Verdict Day, kind of. Actually, no, it has nothing to do with Verdict Day. What am I talking about? Anyway, not a bad game, but kind of, it's optional. If you want to check it out, go ahead. Otherwise, you don't need to play it. And then, this one's going to be very controversial for some people. Some people love Armored Core Last Raven. I loathe it. Armored Core Last Raven is one of the most unfun games I have ever played. And it has a lot of the same problems that Nexus has with the overheating mechanics, although they toned it down a tad bit with Armored Core compared to Nexus. However, to make up for that, they decreased the accuracy of all your weapons by like 50% and made machine guns go almost useless. And every enemy AC seemingly has Human Plus. Oh, it's not just Human Plus, plow builds. Human Plus and overweight builds. So the game cheats, basically, and it's just not fun. And the really annoying thing is Armored Core Last Raven actually has a really interesting story that picks up immediately after Nexus and has really cool implications for the wider world of Armored Core in the Generation 3 timeline. But the game is just so not fun to play. It's a D for me. I do not enjoy playing Last Raven at all. It's not even the fun kind of hard like Silent Line is. It's just meh. Now, on to the quote-unquote modern Armored Core games. By modern, I mean, you know, post-PS2, so the 360, PS3 era, and later. Armored Core 4 is a flawed gem. It's the first game, actually is one of the first games that Miyazaki directed, weirdly enough, for those of you who weren't in the know. Armored Core 4 is a complete departure from the previous games. You play as a Lynx piloting an Armored Core Next, set in its own timeline where Lynx with their nexts have overtaken and replaced Ravens piloting normal armored cores. And it's a okay game, botched by bad English translation, and I mean, it's an okay game, so I'm gonna put it at B. Stick it with B. We'll put it in front of Nexus though. It's an okay game. It's just not really. The story is play through it once, so you kind of get an understanding of the story for the next game, Armored Core 4 Answer. This game is my favorite Armored Core game. At least, it used to be my favorite Armored Core game. And, well, it's still easily one of my favorites. And it still holds up gameplay-wise. It's Armored Core 4 had a few jank mechanics with how it played. Armored Core 4 Answer fixed a lot of that and made the game super smooth to play for the most part, at least if you're emulating it, mostly. Playing it on console back in the day, old hardware struggled to play this just because of all the explosions and projectiles and stuff going around. But story. Actually, no, I'm not going to talk too much about the story because it's worth experiencing yourself. However, gameplay-wise, it's the fastest game in the series by a long shot. And also the closest I think you get to piloting a Gundam out of all the Armored Core games. Just with how the raw speed you have and the kind of firepower you can carry and use at your disposal. Very good game. Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer have energy shields that are spherical and just have all the time. And it's a big part of the game. Why did I say that? I'm going on a tangent. Anyway. S-Rank. It used to be my favorite Armored Core game for the longest time. Until most recent one. But we'll get there. Armored Core 5. I dislike Armored Core 5 because of personal reasons, mostly. When I first played Armored Core 5, it was after really enjoying Armored Core 4 Answer, and so I really bounced off Armored Core 5. And I also found Armored Core 5's story to be a bit of an incomprehensible mess. Yeah. So, D. Armored Core 5 is a D. Armored Core Verdict Day attempts to fix a lot of the issues that Armored Core 5 had, made the gameplay a little bit faster, a little bit smoother. It still has a lot of the same problems, such as system scan mode, system combat mode, system scan mode. You get the idea. The story is better, though. Actually, I really like the story. Weirdly enough, I'm going to put it at B, because I actually did enjoy my time with Armored Core Verdict Day, unlike Armored Core 5. It feels faster to play, it's not as sluggish. And the story is much more understandable compared to Armored Core 5. It also has one of the coolest final boss fights of all the Armored Core games, which is just really cool. I'll have the gameplay footage on screen right now. You fight a plundered plundered kind of jumbled together next, and it's a fun fight. The story isn't amazing, but it's at least understandable, so B rank. And at last, the final game of them all so far, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. It's an S. It is an S. It goes miraculously, if I can get it to, there we go, it goes in front of Armored Core 4 Answer. And yeah, it's a really good game. I think Armored Core 6 is maybe it's not perfect, but it's very close, at least when it comes to Armored Core games. There are a couple of issues I have with it. I don't particularly like the stagger system. It kind of makes the game very much into Can you stagger? Are you good at staggering? If you're not, then you just suck. However, that's fine. Yeah, I can work with it. I like the story. I enjoy the gameplay. The hard lock mechanic wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be, although it does still trivialize building your your AC a bit, because in previous games your AC's turning ability was a big part of how well you would do in close quarters fights. If you are big slow AC and you turn slow, you tried to stay far away so you wouldn't have to turn as much. Fast ACs could turn faster and so on and so forth. And turning was a big... How quickly your AC could turn around was a big part of just the general gameplay. And in Armored Core 6, that is just completely null and void. You turn it on a dime. So, sure, people, I'm sure, are going to say in the comments, oh, but you can turn on a dime in Armored Core 6. Yes, you can turn on a dime if you know how to quick turn. Quick turning is an actual skill you have to figure out and use in Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer. In Armored Core 6, it just automatically does it. So, anyway. But overall, I like the story. I like a lot of the parts. I like the general gameplay for the most part. I like that they brought back combination of glide boost and overboost as kind of this new assault boost. You can still kick people from Armored Core 5 and Brick Day. That's really cool. They re-limited melee weapons to the left arm again, which is a bit weird, but yeah. And they even have this unique stuff called like coral, kind of like the same, kind of like Kojima particles, but it's sentient and alive and also very flammable. Overall, this is my list of my ranking of Armored Core games. Let me alter this a bit here. We'll do it like so. Come on. There we go. Didn't want to do that there. I'll actually put Verdict Day in front of Nexus. There we go. And there we go. That is my list. Armored Core 6, 4 Answer 2, and Master of Arena are my S ranks. Silent Line 3 and the original are A. Armored Core 4, Armored Core 2 Another Age, Verdict Day, and Nexus are B. Project Phantasma and Formula Front are C. And Last Raven, Ninebreaker, and Armored Core 5 are D. None of them are F. None of them are really bad games. Just, there are things about certain ones I really don't like. So, this is my list. Tell me what you think in the comments. Maybe make your own list. Make your own video. Or tell me your own list in the comments down below. I don't know if I'm going to do any more ranking videos. I might. Kind of depends on how well this one does and if I feel up to it. I'm going to be working on my own projects as well. I hope you all enjoyed the video. And you all have a good day and take care. Peace.